Greetings all you Metamaniacs, this is TMoney G. We farm, we focus, but CG always seems to stack the deck in their favor when it comes to our attempts to farm ahead of the next meta. This video will outline Operation Metaverse's predictions for February and March 2019 and provide some key, practical tools to get you through the coming weeks unscathed and stacked with options to stay or climb to the top of your arena. First, I will say whenever we make a video about focused farming, we do so with the bias that folks are near the top of their arena ranks, which allows you to save more crystals than you spend every day and to allocate refreshes for hard nodes. If you aren't at the top of your arena, I firmly believe you can be within a few months if you're strategic and focus on mods and player-friendly characters such as Chewbacca, 3PO, and Traya, which function even at low gear. For advice on improving your arena rank, please visit our Discord and take advantage of our community of amazing players who know this game inside and out. Feel free to tag me in the chat with your questions. Now, big disclaimer, this video was made the day the droid events were announced, and neither Kotor or any Sith ship event has been confirmed. This is speculation, and I apologize in advance if we get it wrong, and this is another solo type smokescreen. But frankly, we did not recommend people farm solo, and we usually, almost always get these things right. Guessing what CG is holding in their hand and going all in to call their bluff is my favorite part of Star Wars Galaxy of Heroes, my game within a game. This is what we know so far. The droid army is coming. B2 is scheduled for a rework today on February the 6th, followed by the B1 Marquis on the 14th and 15th, a Grievous and Magna Guard rework release on the 20th, and Droidica on the 21st and 27th. That's a Marquis 2. The second component is that they are doing an unprecedented event for the Emperor's Shuttle, where they'll place the shuttle in ship nodes temporarily starting at midnight local time on February the 8th. This video will reveal what nodes to farm, as well as how much energy you will need to spend to get a 5- and 7-star ship. Finally, February is for the first time in a long time not Sith month. Will the Kotor characters be used for anything? Should you continue to farm them for what we hope as an event in March? Well, spoiler alert, I sure am. Nice thing about these Kotor characters is that just like the original 5 companions, these are great characters that you will eventually want as part of your roster anyway. So I say, go for it. Now, let's dive into the numbers. First, the droids. Without an actual legendary event, the only gate to participating in what is likely a Jedi massacring meta will be the investment of resources. Judging from past reworks and typical kits for generic characters like the IG-100 and unique units like General Grievous, you will likely be looking at an investment of at least 3 Zetas and upwards of 5 to 7 to have a fully functional arena team. Indeed, with 3 reworks and 2 new characters dropped within 2 weeks, characters very few players have at Gear 12, GoodOl'Maurice and I anticipate this to be the single greatest resource drain the game has seen thus far. Let's go into this a little bit and just look at their Zetas. B2 and Magna Guard reworks may include 1 Zeta. All 3 of their existing abilities are level 8 already, but reworks have included all new abilities in the past and could include Zetas. General Grievous has level 7 abilities already, with room for a Zeta on his lead and unique. Other iconic characters such as CLS, Revan, and Rey have 3 Zetas. Expect an additional ability as well as a bump to the existing ones. B1 comes with 1 Zeta, which is typical for being a Marquis and a generic unit. Droidica may be the same. But who knows if those 5 are going to be the ideal arena team, if this is going to be an arena team at all. BB-8 taunts when he's with all droids, and will make the team lightning fast and provide healing for those units if he has the Zeta. R2 and T3 have very important Zetas, and of course L3, who has a droid-specific Zeta, much like Savior, that equalizes health when a droid reaches 1%. And there's other units that you may have to gear or Zeta, IG-88 and IPD, then there's Jawa Engineer, Nebit, Chopper, K2SO, who knows what the combination is going to be. Side note, do not Zeta K2SO. If you're starting from scratch, just for those 3 characters, Magna Guard, General Grievous, and B2, you will be tasked with farming over 800 Carbontes, hundreds of stun cuffs and stun guns, thousands of pieces of individual salvage. Our good friend and Empire fanatic, Omega Razor, has created what is likely the best farming spreadsheet in the game, certainly the best I have ever seen. We have a link to this in the description below, and I have attached our interview with him onto the end of this video, so you can see how to use it. Come tag him liberally in the Discord server with questions, but please read the document carefully beforehand to ensure you have followed the instructions. Okay, next the Emperor's Shuttle. It's not known if this shuttle is going to be needed for any event, but we have been anticipating a capital ship event for some time. Now, we suddenly have 5 Sith ships. Have I mentioned the amazing gamers we have on our Discord server? Well, this section is wholly their brainchild, and the brainchild of Watanabe Smith, vis-a-vis his Reddit post on the subject of node farming. I'm going to cut to the chase here. Take a look at Watanabe's graphs. Looks complex, huh? Basically, he ran a simulation on the different ship nodes to determine which would be the most energy efficient for the community to farm. The answer? It doesn't matter. It will save you crystal refreshes to go back and forth on the nodes. Speaking of crystals, how many will it cost exactly? Well, Vicetorn, with the help of Numbers, Spider-Mitch, Mal, Trey, and a number of other players have worked out the crystal demands for 2 goals, 5 and 7-star command shuttles. If you want to see the math, toddle over to our Discord and look under the pinned messages in the general chat. To earn a 5-star command shuttle, which will allow you to upgrade the reinforcement ability, you'll need 145 shards, which is about halfway to 7 stars. The expected energy to do this is 3,625, while the 7-star will be a demand of 8,250 energy. Given 189 free energy per day, and assuming people buy the 640 energy pack for 600 crystals during or right before the event, here's the calculation. Note, it's unclear when the end time is for the event, so these numbers could be off a day, but we've assumed 5 farming days here. For 5-star, you can see on the slide that you need to buy 3 100 crystal energy refreshes pre-event, 640 ship energy pack for 600 crystals, and then buy 3 energy refreshes per day, for a total of 2,400 crystals. That's not too demanding. Now, for the 7-star, it's much more demanding. First, you have to stockpile a bunch of energy before the event even starts, buy the ship energy pack, and then farm all the way up to 800 crystal energy refreshes, for a total of 17,900 crystals. I'm going to stick these slides in the OHM announcements in our Discord server so you can easily reference them while you're farming. Assuming 4 farming days instead of 5, these numbers go up significantly to 2,700 crystals and 21,400 for the 5 and 7 stars respectively. Now, remember I mentioned before, if you place in the top of the arena, these numbers are going to be much easier to meet. 2,700 crystals is the equivalent of 3 days at the top of both ship and squad arenas. Okay, finally Kotor. When the new Kotor characters were announced back in November, we extrapolated using the cadence from Jedi Knight Revan as to what the dates were going to be for the drops for these characters. Now, Ordo and Darkside Bastila behaved perfectly, matching up almost to the day, but then Carth and Juhani failed to show up as predicted on January 31st and are still missing in action as of February the 6th. Well, it makes sense that they'll want to lure us into the droids and help us forget what could be the next Kotor legendary and potentially annoying dominant Revan-like meta. The farming for Kotor is 3 to 4 refreshes a day on Darkside Bastila's node, and a 3 a day on Ordo's Cantina node. If you're behind on this, well, it could be crunch time or pay-out-of-pocket time for you and your guild. You can check how manicky you should be by using a great shard calculator created by our friend and past Galaxy's Edge guest Waddles. You can find this and many resources in the key resources section of our Discord server. Now, I'll end with what I'm doing with my own roster to give you some perspective. I love Grand Arena and Territory Wars, and particularly winning at both of them. I'm undefeated in Grand Arena so far, though my matches have been getting much more challenging lately, and certainly will be with a flood of Revans we will see in the coming matches at my Galactic Power. If droids are important for these game modes, I will focus on getting them to the lowest gear and star levels that will be workable on offense. They might not be a defensive team for me for a while if the new marquees are squishy at 4 stars in gear 11. I'm stoked about potentially getting the next Kotor event free to play, and I'll continue to hedge my bets there. My Darkside Bastila is now 6 stars, and I continue to do 3 refreshes a day on her nodes, and 2 to 3 for Ordo, who has been very generous with his drops. I will farm the next 2 like mad. Oh, a note here that if you don't have HK at 7 stars, the arena shop is one of the toughest places to panic farm. Get on that. Finally, ships. I'm going all out on this ship to 5 stars and then full stop. This is a gamble that any event for coming Sith ships doesn't require 7 stars, but that crystal demand seems so extreme. From their history, I just don't think CGA would make this a requirement. Who knows though? And that's half the fun for me. Make my best guess at what CG is holding, and then show the community my cards and hope it helps with growing your own rosters efficiently. I'm going to tack on an instructional piece that we did, an interview with Omega Razor about his awesome spreadsheet on our February 5th stream. We stream every Tuesday night at 9:30 p.m. Eastern Standard Time, with the occasional happy stream throughout the week when wonderful things are announced. I might be sounding like a broken record here, but join our Discord. It's a great place to keep our community centralized, let you know when we have great stuff coming up, and I firmly believe it's probably the best community resources for players that there is in Star Wars Galaxy of Heroes.
So essentially what it is, obviously the instructions page here kind of goes over what's all needs to be done and everything there, but once you move over into the next tab over, which is just labeled as Shard Farming Planner, it kind of gives you an idea of what you are going to see for returns for specific characters in specific spots. It lists every shop in the game that has a constant source. So things like your Cantina battles, Cantina shipments, Arena shipments, fleet battles, Galactic War. So you can put specific characters in, say how many times you're refreshing them a day, what your current stars are for them, and how many shards you have for them. And it'll give you an estimate about how many days you're going to take to the next rank, to your next star, and how many to 7-star. And you can kind of mess around to see if, maybe if I do one more refresh on this node, I can drop down from, say, 2 weeks to a week and a half to finish a farm.
So it's basically like a custom-made panic farm calculator. Those are so useful online to go and just see, okay, this event is coming, what do I need? And you can type in all of your, what you have and kind of spits out the other end, like how panicky you have to be or not. This is essentially that, except hopefully it'll prevent you from going into a panic.
And it'll let you know how much energy should ration out for each node. Unfortunately, it only is correct up to the first refresh on that. So that I'm still working on, but it gives you kind of an idea. It essentially helps you out in panic farms, make sure you have a decent estimate on how much time you're going to need. If you know something is going to happen in a week or 2 weeks, you can kind of fiddle around with how many refreshes or how much energy you need to spend ahead of time to be able to get done. As the character listing tab, it's the one obviously furthest to the right. You're not really going to need it too much with what the rest of the sheet does, but if you want to go see exactly what a specific character for a specific gear level or anything like that, that's where you can find it. Oh, T, you're on the wrong one, sorry. It's the furthest one off to the right along the bottom there.
Character listing? Wow, look at that.
The one thing that I did add a couple days ago was down at the very bottom. There is a spot where if you say have half of a gear level to go over or anything like that, I did add a custom gear one there. So you just have to put in, I need this gear piece, and just put it in there and that sort of thing. So there is a spot for, half gear tiers and things like that, because the main part of the tool will look at a full gear tier rather than just a part one. So if you only need a couple pieces of a specific gear tier or anything like that, you can just toss them in that custom gear row at the bottom there, and it'll pick it up the rest of the way. So the farmable gear and the craftable gear ones don't really need to use those too much. Obviously, if you want to see what pieces go into a specific piece of gear or where they are to be able to farm, you can just look them up in there. The main kind of meat and potatoes of the whole thing is the gear finder tab. So what you're going to find in there is essentially you choose which characters you want to gear, put in what gear level you're starting from, and then what gear level you're going and completing. So if you want to get a character up to gear 12 but not including the gear 12 gear, you'll put up to gear 11. So it'll add in all 6 of the gear 11 gear and get you to gear 11 with that.
So is there like a drop down under the character and it like populates the gear pieces, or are you like copying? How does this one work?
A drop down available there. You can also just start typing in the character's name. I'm not sure if you'll probably need to make a copy of it there, T, to be able to actually put it in.
This is awesome. You can put in multiple characters here. This is great.
Yeah, you can add up to 10, and then essentially, so if you go over to the gear finder tab there again, I've got all of essentially it's your droids in here right now. Your Grievous at tier 9, your B2, he's actually at 7.5, which is why I have the custom gear one down there in spot 10. So when I've added those 3 pieces of gear in that custom gear row down at the bottom. On the right hand side there under the I and J columns, essentially what you want to do there is select all of those 2 columns, all the gear in there, and you're just going to copy it over to the gear farm tab, paste it in underneath there, and it'll tell you where to farm.
So right here, like under gear list, yeah.
Copy all of that, and then go over to the gear farm tab.
Oh, did I put it in the? I think I put it in the wrong place.
Yeah, you put it in the wrong spot.
Oh, that's you there, not me. There we go. Okay, there we go.
Yeah.
Ooh. And now what? Ooh. Oh, gracious.
Yeah.
Things are happening. Wow.
So it'll show you exactly where anything is that needs to be farmed. So it'll show you things like this one here for if you need the biotech implants salvage, the very top one here, obviously. You can find that in 9F light sides, normal, 9C light side hards, and it'll tell you everywhere that you can get that, as well as possibly something else that you need from that same node. So you can try and figure out where you can kind of double dip on what you might need to farm.
Where does it say that?
Oh, that's cool. Yeah.
Where does it say that?
So on the right hand side here, like where it lists all the nodes and everything, it lists all the gear pieces there beside it that you have in the list on the left. So if there's certain nodes that have, say, 2 pieces of gear on it, it'll show up that there's 2 available there. If you're looking for a specific gear, you can check off the highlights tab and it'll highlight them so that they're a little bit easier to find on the right hand side. But it essentially lets you kind of try and double dip into your farming as much as you can, kind of speed up your farming a little bit. Now, to kind of keep track of how much of everything you have and how much you're needing, you can obviously just take the number under the need column and subtract that by however many you have. But in the gear listing tab, there's a list of every single piece of gear that there is in the game, as well as a column for the number of them that you own. You can go in and put in, oh, I've got this many of this gear piece and this many of this gear piece, and it'll automatically update on the other tab how many you have and how many you still need. Once the number that you have is higher than the number that you need, it'll zero out and it'll automatically remove it from that column or the columns on the right hand side there. So if it was one of those 2 pieces on that node, it'll essentially move that node down so that you know you don't need to do that one anymore. It'll kind of prioritize specific things, like it'll go for the most gear pieces per node first, and then it'll sort them by energy cost. It'll always kind of prioritize the lower energy ones first so that you can get more for less energy in that.
Very cool. This is a masterpiece of spreadsheeting. So people can find you, Operation Metaverse server, to ask you questions.
Yeah, they can find me there, send me a message, or just tag me on there.
There is a part on the instructions that says video guide, ETA, son.
And I'm going to be linking to this video when it's done.
Awesome.